What if you could build an AI assistant that doesn't just answer your questions, but actually does things for you?
I mean, really does things, searches the web, runs calculations, sends your emails, even writes and debugs code. Well, that's exactly what AI agents are all about. And by the end of this 4-part series, you are going to build one yourself. Welcome to Gheware DevOps AI. I'm so excited to start this journey with you. We're going to demystify this incredible tech from the ground up, starting right now.
So, here's our game plan for today's explainer. We're going to kick things off with what agents actually are, then get into how they're different from what you already know. We'll look at how they think, what they're made of, and finally, a little peek at what's coming next. And that's just for today. This is the roadmap for the entire series. Today, we build that solid foundation. Then, we get our hands dirty. We'll set up your environment, build the actual core agent, and then add some seriously cool advanced features. So let's get that foundation right. Okay, first things first. To really get what agents are, we need to understand the huge leap they represent. Let's talk about the difference between the AI we all know and use and this powerful new agentic AI. So think about a chatbot like ChatGPT. It's kind of like having a brilliant friend who knows pretty much everything, but has no hands. You can ask them how to fix your car, and they'll give you these perfect step-by-step instructions. But they can't actually grab a wrench and do the work for you. See? A brilliant brain with no hands. An AI agent, on the other hand, is that same brilliant brain, but now it has hands.
And that right there, that is the core idea to hold on to. Generative AI creates content. Agentic AI performs actions. It's the difference between getting a recipe and having a chef cook you the meal. You know, here's another way to think about it that I find really helps it click. A chatbot, that's like a smart intern. They're super helpful, but you have to give them constant, really specific instructions. It's reactive. But an agent is more like a senior teammate. You don't give them a checklist, you give them a goal. You say, hey, we need to launch this product, and they figure out the plan and start executing. They're not just helping you anymore, they're an autonomous part of your team.
So the bottom line is this. Agents take a high-level goal and break it down into actual, real-world actions. Remember when Siri first came out and we're all a little, underwhelmed? AI agents are what we thought Siri was going to be. You can just say, book me a restaurant for 7 p.m., and it'll actually search for options, check who has a table, and make the reservation. It doesn't just tell you how to do it, it just does it for you. Okay, that sounds pretty amazing. But how does a piece of software actually go from just spitting out text to doing things in the real world? Well, it all comes down to a really elegant, simple loop that gives these agents all their power. Every AI agent works on this continuous loop, and this loop is the engine that drives its autonomy. Let me walk you through it as a little detective story. So first, the agent perceives the world around it. Our detective shows up at the crime scene and just takes it all in, looking at the initial clues. Second, it reasons. The detective thinks, okay, the key to this whole case has got to be the security footage. That's the agent forming a plan. Third, it acts. The detective walks over to the security office and gets the tape. The agent executes its plan using the tools it has. And finally, and this part is so crucial, it learns. After watching the footage, the detective has new information. Now they know who was there. The agent sees the result of its action and uses that to figure out its next move. And this whole loop, perceive, reason, act, learn, just keeps repeating until the case is solved or the task is done. And that's why this loop is so powerful. A traditional AI gives you one answer, and then it stops. An agent just keeps working, step by step, until the job is actually finished. It really is the difference between asking for directions and having a driver who actually takes you to your destination. All right, so we know how an agent thinks. Now let's pop the hood and see what it's actually made of. We can break down its anatomy into 3 core components, the very same components we'll be building in this series. First up is the brain. This is a large language model, an LLM, like Claude or GPT-4. This is the intelligence, right? The decision-making center. When you ask it, what's the weather in Tokyo? The brain is the part that thinks, to answer this, I'm going to need to use a weather tool. Without the brain, there's nothing steering the ship. Next up, we have the hands, which we call tools. So if the LLM is the brain, then tools are the superpowers you give your agent so it can actually interact with the world. Each tool is a specific capability. A calculator tool can do math, a web search tool can browse the internet, a file access tool can read and write documents.
And here's the part that gets really exciting for us as developers. You get to decide what tools your agent gets. You want it to send emails? Give it an email tool. Want it to manage your server? Give it a terminal tool. The possibilities are literally endless, and in this series, we're going to be building several of these from the ground up. And finally, the third component is memory. And trust me, this one is a huge deal. Without memory, every single message you send is a completely fresh start. Imagine saying, "My name is Rajesh," and the agent says, "Nice to meet you." But then on the very next line you ask, "What's my name?" And it has no idea. Super frustrating, right? Memory is what allows the agent to remember the context of your conversation, and that's what makes the whole interaction feel natural and actually intelligent. We'll be adding memory to our agent in episode 4. So, we've covered the what, the how, and the why. Let's wrap things up by looking at the bigger picture and what's coming down the pike. The kind of agent we've been talking about is often called a React agent. It thinks step by step, and that's the foundation. But there are other types, like plan and execute agents that make a full plan up front, or even multi-agent systems where different agents actually work together on a task. We're starting with this foundational model, because once you master this, you can pretty much build anything. And the pace of all this change it's just staggering. A recent study from McKinsey found something pretty incredible. The complexity of tasks that AI agents can handle isn't just growing, it's doubling. Doubling every 7 months. Just let that sink in for a second. What feels like science fiction today is going to be standard practice in about a year.
All of this leads to one big, provocative question that I want to leave you with. For all the developers watching, is your AI copilot about to become your AI team leader? Is it going to go from just helping you write code to actually delegating tasks to you? I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments.
If this explainer helped you finally understand what AI agents are all about, do me a favor and hit that like button. This is a massive shift, and we're just getting started. So if you want to move from theory to practice, make sure you're subscribed, because in our very next explainer, we are going to build our first AI agent from scratch. Thanks for watching.